Hey everyone, Noblartist here, and today in this video is going to be a bit of a blast from the past. I'm going to go through all the old customs that I have, that I still have, because I used to sell a lot of these, and I don't have that many. I mean, I say I don't have that many, I actually do have quite a bit. But we're going to go ahead and go through those and just sort of reminisce throughout the years of all the older customs that I have. Keep in mind that probably half of these, are probably maybe more, have fallen apart to some extent, so they're like, I would say anywhere from like 70 to 100% complete, and they're definitely going to show their age because it's glue and paint, so it might not hold up after 10 years. So we're gonna go ahead and get through that. Also, I did say I was gonna make a new custom. This is the one I'm working on. This is the Imperial Commando. It's a work in progress, so I've already got some of the armor or some of the pads on there, and then I'm going to go with a blue I want to do like blue, gray, black and white kind of. I thought about keeping it the same color scheme, but I might not do that right now. I will eventually make just the figure itself, like the original figure, but this one's gonna be different. I thought about doing some kind of blue, gray, like a snow camo. I'm trying to figure out what I wanna do for this. I might go just, not generic, but I was thinking like the 501st, like stripes and stuff. I haven't decided yet. It's probably gonna end up being completely different than that, a pauldron and a comma, and just make him more elite, but we'll see. If you have any suggestions, let me know color scheme wise. I haven't actually painted anything other than a little bit of blue down there. It's like a really dark blue. I painted the arms because I'm going to be going over them, and I need like a base color underneath other than the gray, so it's like a really dark, almost like a navy blue, like a royal blue. So I think, well, royal, it's whatever that one is. Navy blue, yeah, so it's navy blue. So if you want, you have an opportunity to let me know what colors you want to see. And if you have any suggestions, let me know, and that I could go with them. And if I do, I'll give you a shout out if I use your techniques. So anyway, moving on. There's not really a rhyme or reason to this. This is the tote that I had before. I showed in a different video, and there's a little bit of everything. I think they're kind of categorized in a way, maybe. I think I did kind of keep them separated a little bit. Alrighty, so this first guy definitely is already in some disarray. I looked into the pile because they're all kind of in piles. I'll show you the pile at the end. There's like, because I use a lot of clay when I sculpt stuff, you can tell that the clay is kind of like crumbled apart, and it's like a bunch of dust, like clay dust in the bottom, but it's rough. But anyway, this is like one of the first, like this is probably in the top, I say 10 figures that I made. So this is like a Viking that I made back in the day. The handle is just a black lightsaber. I don't know if I actually painted this black. I think this is actually black. This one was black from Lego. Also, the glue that I used was model glue. It's that thick, goopy model glue. You can see I did a fantastic job making that look real, real subtle. This, I don't remember what kind of metal I used for that, for the sword, but so he had a sword, and then on his back, we had two crisscrossing axes. This strap right here broke, but he did have two axes that, if it would, I'll pretend. So he had two axes that went over his back, and these suckers are pretty cool. This was the old like silver we tried to mix together. It's like that, we wanted that rustic metal look, so I mixed silver with black paint, and he gets this kind of a dull metal look. And so he had two axes. He also had a shield that had some battle damage on it, maybe, you know, fought a bear or something like that. And it had just, this strap actually went over his head, and so his shield would go on his back like so, and it would look really awesome. And it just has a normal peg right there, so he holds it like a normal shield. Didn't get too fancy with it, but, and then he also has like a slash going across his nose piece. If you can see that, let me get it to focus. And then that, of course, led to him losing his eye, right? Violent. He's a warrior. So that's the first guy, the first Viking. I might not take this much time on each one, so bear with me if you feel like it's going forever. But we're reminiscing. That's what it's about. This one, okay, this one's interesting. I don't know if I have the sword. I might have a pile of just like extra stuff somewhere, but this is one of the first knights that I made. I definitely going to make more knights because I think they're really awesome. But this guy right here, this is so cool. So the helmet I made, I mean everything I made from scratch, but I made a mistake when I made the helmet. I made it with clay that's not air dry clay. Like the other stuff I have, like in that bag right there, if you leave it out over time, it's gonna harden. Like these pieces right here, like I made these last night and, or actually not last night, I made these today and it's already hard. This, on the other hand, I painted it silver when I made it and it's still tacky. I made this thing, I don't know how many, this has gotta be at least 10 years old and the paint is still tacky and it just never dried. It's not supposed to dry, but then when you paint it, the paint's not gonna stick to it. So which is kind of crazy, but this is like, I think this would be like an English knight. I believe that was their color scheme. So you got the same, almost like the same the same clone armor for the arms. Got his nice shield. That's all hand painted. You can tell because it looks good, but I mean it's definitely hand painted. And then of course his sheath right here, which is awesome, free flowing. Look how awesome that is. And it had a really cool sword that I can't remember where it's at. It had like a diamond in the hilt. And yeah, just a really cool figure. Wow, let me just throw it too. That's how cool it is. You just throw it around. And then I put chainmail around the head. And he's got a little squinty face. He's very intense. But this is one of the first knights that I made. Really awesome. And then sticking to the knight theme, we have this king. I don't know exactly where his sword is. I have a sword thief on my hands. I don't know where all the swords went. They're gone, but maybe they're getting sharpened. So it's kind of the same concept with like the pattern on the clothing. And this guy has got, he's got his shield, sword, which is missing, but the same kind of sheath style. I like how it's just like free floating. Super awesome. Got his boots and just the same kind of the full set of armor. And then his helmet's a little bit different. It's more open because being like a king, I wanted his face to be shown because that's kind of what they did. He's got his crown. There's little jewels in there. This is also missing like these little pokey parts. It's missing some on the front, but like I said, there's stuff that's gonna be missing. Also, his cape does come off. I believe it comes off. It should come off. I just don't want to take the head off to do it. But it does have a pattern underneath. And I also painted the back because I didn't go cheap. I just made the whole thing. The cape was something I made after the fact. And then he also has the chainmail around his head. And he's not as grumpy. It definitely has a very plain face because, when I'm a wee young lad, I didn't paint faces that well. So that guy, this dude, another knight. This one, I wanted all their helmets to be different, so his helmet is different. Also, he doesn't have much of a face. I think I just wanted those two eyes to be through. And he's got like that Black Raven shield. He does have a sword. Isn't that awesome? 1 out of 3, not too bad. He's got his sword, and then it was kind of hard making the black and gold armor because all that's metal. Like those are all metal plates because I wanted to like actually have, again, all my stuff is, I tried to go as realistic as I can. So every piece of armor that a knight would have, I tried to recreate. So, and I painted the outline of each piece gold because I wanted it to be complicated. I don't know how long it took to make, but he's missing a feather on his helmet. He's supposed to have 2 feathers on his helmet. I don't know where the other one is, but I love the knight helmets. Like they're just so flashy and fancy. I don't know what this part's called, that like fabric wrap. I don't really know what that's called, but I was just trying to recreate the ones that I saw. I looked them up online and got a bunch of cool images. His cape is a little more tethered, but he doesn't have like the chest print. Well, he has that, but he's not gonna have that on his back. So more complicated color scheme with the armor, but as a knight, he's more just a knight. The other guy, got a king, and then he's a little more flashier with his brighter colors. All right, the next dude is going to be my Crusader. This guy did have a shield at one point, and he had a spear with the Crusader flag on it. And he also does have a sword. Congratulations to him. If I can pull it out. Pretty cool. I love making these knight swords. A lot of fun. Especially the sheaths, like when you can do it right and it fits in there, it's just so cool. And look how it's not like bulky or anything. It's actually like kind of scale. It fits the size to the figure. This one I do believe also isn't dry. Yeah, like I could actually probably still bend this helmet piece because it's not air dry clay. So he's got the Crusader mark. And yeah, I think I might actually make some more Crusaders eventually and make a little like Crusader squad, because I actually did. So the next one coming up is the Last Knight, or in the medieval theme, but it is a Crusader that I didn't finish. This guy, I was actually going a little more detailed. This isn't painted. That's all going to be brown eventually. He's got his belt pieces coming along. His helmet, so actually, because this is the clay that I had, I burnt it. Like when you burn clay, it's going to harden. So this is the clay that's not the air dry clay. I wanted it to actually like firm up. And so his helmet, when I paint it, will actually be good to go. So yeah, and he got this cape. You know, this one is more on the humble side. Like he's just gonna have, you know, the black robe, and whatever his helmet's gonna be is probably gonna be closer to that dude's helmet. And then, you know, a sword and a shield. So this one is an unfinished figure. Like I started out and didn't finish. That's probably what I saw, all that stuff in the bottom. Like his boots, he had this pointy knight boots on, and they shattered. And I got boot dust all in the bottom of the bin. So there you have it for the medieval figures. Unless I lost one, I forgot one. I'm pretty sure that's everybody. Also, just for time's sake, I might make this 2 or 3 parts and get like, you know, 10 or 15 figures at a time, because I'm looking at it now and I realize it's a handful, and I don't know if you guys would be interested in watching a really long video. So for the sake of videos not being like crazy long, like more than 20 minutes, I'm going to probably make this 2 parts. So anyway, sticking into the historical theme, I will move on to probably one of my favorites is my samurai. My samurai and 1 Greek, because I only have 1 Greek. All right. I did make a video on this guy before. This was the very first samurai that I made. He's kind of a hot mess right now because his swords were made from like the plastic, like tubing pieces. It's like this stuff. I don't remember exactly what Lego used them for in the older sets or the newer sets. It's like this stuff, and it's a little bit thicker than that, but I put a slice down the middle of it so the sword could fit. And so he's got these 2 giant chunky swords. And just like when you see the newer ones, like just take a mental note of how like chunky this is, and I'll show you the modern. I say modern, it's still like 8 years old. The newer stuff, and then I use this same tubing for the deer antler helmet. Man, I could still make a cooler one. I probably will eventually, because these are awesome. His shoulder pad, one of them broke off. These are shovels that I cut the ends off and just painted them up. And then the fabric, or not fabric, the armor is actually paper. I just drew it on the paper, and then I think I put like fingernail polish on that to like keep it safe and keep it from moving. So it's like I try to put a little woven pieces of armor on there, and that's the other side of the head. So yeah, definitely come a long way since that one. Also, he has a horse. I made him a horse. And if you guys know anything about Dynasty Warriors, that was the game I grew up playing like way too much of. It was an amazing game. And like in the title, Dynasty Warriors, you're kind of playing, you know, medieval stuff. This has nothing to do with him, because I'm pretty sure they're Chinese. But Lu Bu, he's actually a historical figure. He rides a red horse in the game. So I figured, hey, why not give my guy a red horse? But yeah, that's the horse that he has. That's one of them. The next guy, now after looking at this, he kind of looks like an American trying to play a Japanese dude. I don't know how that turned out. Again, I'm not the best at painting faces, I'll admit that. But this one's a really cool one. He's got a dragonfly emblem on the back of his kimono, and I got the layered texture look going on there. It's kind of hard to do, but getting the arms to actually move and then put fabric on them to make it look like he actually has. Like, I don't like it when it's just the arms are generic Lego color and then they have like fabric for like their clothing, and they just pretend that the arms, like, no, put the fabric on the arms. So, and then because this is more of a showpiece, the smaller dagger, the smaller katana, it's not gonna, it's just right there. And if you look at it straight on, like that looks really symmetrical, not symmetrical, it looks proportionate to the figure. And then of course he's gonna have his regular sword, but this one actually does work. This one comes out. So he can actually take this one. Like I cut into the side of the figure and put it there. Yeah. But this guy actually has a samurai sword. This one is not the best blade in the world, so I probably should be careful with it and just leave it as a showpiece. So there's that guy. All right, and then we got this dude. I think he was, yeah, I can see where the hand was supposed to be. He was also supposed to have another short sword, and he don't. But same thing with this guy, just kind of like a, I don't know what you would call it, just a regular samurai in his everyday, his walking around clothes. Not ready for battle, he's just strolling around. Again, he also looks kind of Amish, got that beard chin thing going. I don't know why or how, but I did a good job with the actual clay sculpting on the head. You know, that part I got right. The rest of his face, I'll admit defeat. I did not do a good job. Again, I don't know how or why all these look like Americans. Cut me some slack. If someone wants to paint some heads for me, I'll commission the head work for these guys. I got the rest of it down, like the clay sculpture. Oh gosh, I got the clay stuff down. It's just the faces I need more practice with, but same concept, same thing. He actually has his second sword. This poor guy, I think he got hit in the head he got shot in the head. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened with that. I think this is one that my brother tried to paint and he went all anime on it. And honestly, I don't even know if this is the right head for this figure now that I'm looking at it. I don't know. Actually, no, I am 100% sure this is not the right head for this figure, and I just pulled it out. Somehow it landed on this figure, so that's cool. Just imagine him with an American head and not one of these. He's also missing a sword, and I was like, why are his hands and his head not matching up? It's totally not the right head for this figure, but we are going to pretend that it didn't happen, and that's, just right there. Just don't look at it. This guy, I forgot, don't even get me started. He had a suit of armor, he had a spear, he had a shield, he had everything. Actually, give me 1 second. I know where his stuff is. It's sitting, there's a pile I have next door. All right, now we're getting somewhere. I found all the accessories that I'm missing. Here's my Crusader's spear. Good stuff. Here's my samurai's flag for his horse. Okay, so I did find a lot of the spare stuff. I say spare, the extra stuff that came off. It was in its own little category. So here I believe this is also broken. It should have 2 handguards. This was, I believe it was that dude. No, it might have been the king's sword. I think this was the king's sword. This was the other sword. I think this belonged to that dude. And we have, this is one of the samurai swords that belonged to one dude. I know whose are who because I put that dot, like there's decorations on the hilt. I painted this, but those little triangles aren't that bright. So each one's different, so I can match the sword to the guy, but these are the other 2 samurai swords. And then this dude, he does have armor. His is kind of a hot mess. And by hot mess, I mean it's just, I went way too extra. So bear with me here. This looks like a lot, and it is a lot, because me, in my infinite wisdom, thought it would be the coolest idea to actually make a suit of armor, like an actual suit of armor. So it looks all floppy woppy because all these pieces are individually cut, and then I poked holes in them, and then I sewed it together with fabric by hand. Yeah, you heard that right. I sewed this piece of armor together by hand. And then for the arm, or for the shoulder pad, and then this part here by the thigh, these like fish scale looking technique. All those are little circle pieces of metal that I cut out and then overlapped. That's actually, those pieces are just to weight it down because it's kind of light and productive. So if I could, the tricky thing is I believe his arms have to come off. So the undersuit is a little bulky. Come on, put on the armor. You gotta show to perform. All right, that's kind of close. So his head back on. Hopefully, I don't want to damage anything at this point. Oh gosh. I don't know if you've ever had to like push a Lego figure's hand into place before, but it's so nerve-wracking. Oh, put him. Okay, let's try to go over the arm, over the head. Okay, that's not a good idea. All right. Oh gosh, it's gotta come off. Oh, this is nerve-wracking. Oh, I feel like I'm breaking so much stuff doing this. But it's not, because I made it really strong back then. Quality. It's all made in America. All right. Woo! Easy. I wasn't stressed or nervous at all. Okie dokie. So he's got the big old shoulder pads. This guy's not getting hit by nothing. Now I did go a little crazy with the white fabric wrapped around him a billion times. And then he's got his helmet. Bam! Just need to see, don't worry about that. He's missing a few pieces on his helmet. That's okay. But that's also, all those little pieces are handmade. The little circles. Whew, that's just crazy. I went way too much with this. And these giant belt loops, take a guess what those are for. That's right, his swords. These are actually metal sheaths that I made. I don't know why. I mean, I advanced, I evolved. My techniques got better, but yeah, I made them out of metal. Isn't that crazy? What's crazy is my camera doesn't want to focus when I'm talking and showing you this stuff, but like, the second I turn this video off, it's going to focus like there's no tomorrow. And then you got a little one. So he does have two. They go in there. Yeah, we're going to pretend that works because I don't have the time and the patience to do all that. And he has got a spear. Yay! Plot twist. You didn't think he had a spear, but he did. He's got a spear. That big old dude. All that to be said, I put a lot of time and effort into that figure. So I hope you like it. We have another dude who looks very American with a goatee and a patch on his eye because this samurai's seen some things. Oh, this was his sword. This is the one with the dot on it. So this dude had his sword. I just went to this phase of like, these guys are really easy to make and they're a lot of fun. Just make a bunch of samurai. This dude, I wish I could find his actual sword. It might actually be one of these swords. Actually, yeah, that's the diamond one. Aha. There you go, buddy. This guy is he's supposed to have a little baby hook on it, but it doesn't because it broke. This is a Japanese firefighter. This I got from a book. So he is accurate. He's got this logo on his chest. And that stick thingy is accurate. I don't know what it's called. It's probably just his fire poker. And everything. So this one I actually copied like exactly out of a book when I made it. So it's a historical figure that's 100% accurate. And then that fits in there just like that. So his little face doesn't get burned. Isn't that cool? Take a screenshot of this and Google image it or look up Japanese firefighter, you know, back in the day, and this will pop up. So definitely one of my more favorite characters because the historical ones mean more to me. Speaking of historical, this movie actor, because again, they're all somehow looking American. This is a Shinsengumi. This was the Japanese special police. They are super awesome. If you've ever watched like Rurouni Kenshin or I don't know, they're in a bunch of other stuff, but really cool figure, historical, and he does have a sword somewhere, and I don't know where it is. That actually might have been his sword because I put that, there's diamonds on it, so he might have the same, they might share the same sword. Maybe they run next to each other, and then when they need a sword, they, you know, one guy gets the ammo, one guy gets the gun kind of thing, one guy gets the sword, the other guy gets nothing, actually. And then we have one more. This guy's a little more basic. He is super awesome though, because samurai are just super awesome. I don't need to go into detail because he doesn't have a lot of detail. This one's a little much. This one is definitely, when I watch Dynasty Warriors, I'm like, I'm gonna make that into a figure. This guy has way too much happening, way too much going on. So he has two mega giant swords like everyone else does. But this guy's sword actually has some patterns to it. I put like a gold like vine going down it. And then where flowers would be, I put these little gold little flowers, because why not go way too much on this figure? And then his helmet is just massive. Unfortunately, this is taking some damage. Big old headpiece, big old honking headpiece. Wraps around, it's got more metal on it, more fabric. I mean, this thing was made from scratch. Okay, this is back when, this is like early 2000s. Nothing existed, so we had to make everything from scratch. So all that's just handmade. Big old stinking helmet. And then this guy also has a patch on his eye, or a scar across his face. And then super flashy. He almost looks like an anime character or something from like an RPG. Just like, let's just upgrade his armor a million times. And it's just really out there. And then yes, his armor is also like sewn together. And then those little black squares or little pieces of metal that I put on this leather. And then, you know, the same thing. If I wanted to take the arms off and all that, this whole suit comes off. This suit of armor does actually come off as well. I don't know what these things are on the chest. I think I looked them up. It's some kind of like rank or symbol that means something. I don't exactly remember, so don't quote me on that. Don't fact check me. It's just what I did. So that guy's got a lot going on. You can tell he's a little more flashy. And then we got this guy. I don't know what I was thinking when I made this. I don't know if he might be Chinese, he might be Japanese. He could look kind of Mongolian-ish. I don't know. There's just what he is. This one is crazy because if you see all those markings all over this metal that look like white or look like silver dots, that's not. Well, it's markings, but it's not what you think it is. So this metal, on the other side of it, I took the tip of my X-Acto knife and I pushed into the metal. So actually, all those markings, I had to hand put. Like that symbol, I had to like dent into the metal. All the markings you see were dented into the metal itself. And then like that helmet alone is like 30 pieces. I don't know why or how it took so many pieces to make. Oh gosh, everything's like crunching when I try to like take the helmet off. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot to it. This dude needs a haircut for sure, but really cool figure. This one again, the suit of armor can come off. It's very bulky, very like complicated, but it goes behind, like it's a suit of armor. And then I made this to go over top of it. That's why he looks like he's all bundled up. And he's got a spear, which is made out of 2 pieces of metal that I glued together so I can get that like groove piece in the middle. Also, y'all probably thought I didn't give him a sword. Shame on you, you know better. I keep pushing him. It's like a domino effect. These are all gonna just topple down. He does, he's got 2. He got this little short dagger, and then he's got his main sword. All the swords I make, he's got one of these type of sheaths. Or unless it broke. Yeah, his was kind of a cheaper one. Or not cheaper, just early design, early tech. But I also did the same like little patterns on this too. That just took forever. So he does have 2 swords and a spear, and everything's falling over. Moving on, this is one of my favorites because I love archers, and archers are the best. So he is an archer, and I think his helmet's intact. It's just like a lot of the paint's kind of scratching off, and it's definitely bent. But this one, I wish this would focus better, but the top of the helmet, like all of those little pieces, they're all separate pieces of metal. This helmet basically has like at least 30 pieces on it. And I don't know if you can see the inside of that. Like all those pieces are just like layered around to make a helmet. I don't know why or how. I thought that was the best technique to do, but I did it. This one, he has like a white blue chest plate with red flowers. This one was also from a book, and that's why all these colors are layered like that, because that's exactly how it was. And it's really driving me crazy that this isn't focusing better. Focus. It's gonna make my hand is in like 4K right now, but this doesn't want to Let me move my hand. Maybe my hand's the problem the whole time. Maybe you can see that. But this one does come off, this suit of armor. I did make a bunch of arrows for his quiver, because why not? It is all handmade, little bunch of arrows right there. I don't think I have his swords still. Unfortunately, he does not have his swords, but he is an archer. How many archers don't have bows? You tell me that. So he does have a really awesome bow. He got the little symbol in there. I don't know what that means, but he does have a bow. I actually could have had his bow in his hand when I brought him out. That might have been cooler. This one is so cool. It's the only archer. Okay, I keep like backhanding all these guys, so just forgive me. I should have put them back farther. I'm sorry. I started them out way too close. I'm getting crowded. They're crowding me. Okay, so the next one. All right, this dude, I believe his helmet had like a crescent moon on the front. I'm not seeing anything that resembles that, but he was supposed to have something else there. I'm not a fan of this one. I put fabric over the metal, and it just, I don't know, it gave this really bad texture. It looks like concrete. It's like I'm drywall kind of armor going on over here. And his swords are awesome, but I didn't really make a good way for them to fit around, so his arm kind of has to be up, and then this little one keeps going all over the place, and it's just kind of a mess to sort of get them to go in the right spot. But these are really cool swords. I did kind of leave it open in the middle like that, so you can actually see, well, you can see through it. You can see how that's very fragile. I don't recommend doing that at all. But he also, again, I'm not gonna be able to find it, but he had a spear. This guy had a spear as well. All the weird dudes like this had spears. This guy's really cool. This is a musketman, and his musket, I'm not sure what they're all called, but they had like the rope that they burned because they had to touch it to the gunpowder. It was just wrapped around the gun, and then part of it was burning. It's imagine having a really long candle wick that burnt really slow, and that's what you had to keep that lit in order to shoot this sucker. Very primitive, but super awesome. And this one is really cool. I love this. I almost said helmet. It's kind of like a helmet, but I like how the fabric's on the back. They have those neck guard. This guy's looking a little more historical. He doesn't look like an American actor. But this one also came from a book that I had, and his armor down there is also hand woven, as you can see. You can see the wovenness. Very cool, very cool. And then the arm armor is fabric, and then I did put those little black shiny parts are little pieces of metal that I put on there. Again, this one was more historically accurate because I copied it from a book, but the Musket Man, he's awesome. Not as cool as the Archer, but he has his own place. Okay, so the next three are really cool, but unfortunately there are missing some crucial parts. And one of the guys, his helmet doesn't fit his head anymore. But so when my brothers were in college, I made 3 samurai. I made a blue one, a red one, and a green one, kind of representing all 3 of us because I have 2 older brothers. And when we played Dynasty Warriors, there's 3 characters and there were 3 brothers. And I don't know, it just seemed cool to make each one of us our own figure. And I put a lot of effort into these. These are probably the cleanest ones that I have as far as the armor goes. Now granted, they're older, so they might look dusty and whatnot, but so I had the blue one, so I can't find his other sword. Surprise! He is a Changeling, so he's got 2 faces. No, that I don't know how that slipped by. Quality control was definitely lacking back then. But I mixed fabric with the actual metal, and he's actually a lot thinner, a lot more not aerodynamic, but they fit the figure a lot better than the earlier models where it's just big and bulky. This helmet is so cool, but unfortunately the clay has cracked, so it can't fit his head. I might be able to fix that, make a new headpiece to put in there, but this was the first helmet, and I think they all had, I don't know if they all had a spear. He had 2 swords. I mean, you can see that's not even fitting down on his head. It looks kind of silly, it doesn't fit him. It definitely fit him. It definitely went down on his head when it was working. But he was I think that was the first one. Actually, I do have it. Here's his sword. He had a really, really cool sword. One of the sad things is I took one of these swords to college to show my brothers, and these are the good swords. Like that one's really thick metal. And I was showing them, and I left it in their room, and some random kid in their hall decided to just take it. So I'm down one sword because someone decided they thought it was cool too, enough to steal it. But this is the green dude, and his helmet's got a lot of work put into this helmet. It is bent back a little bit too far, but I did want a different style for each helmet. So he's kind of got this, his headpiece kind of comes like back. He's got like a porch. He's got like an overhang on his helmet, but really, really cool design. And then all the armor is the same. I just changed the colors up. So everything, if you hold them all up or put them next to each other, they all should match. It's just the colors change, the weapons change, and obviously the helmet, because that's like I think the main feature is going to be different. Man, I wish this would focus better. That's okay. If I have to redo any of this stuff, then I will. And when I show the other figures in the part 2, I will change the camera angle, and it might be a little more narrow because I have 2 different settings. Maybe I can do it now without messing up the video. Okay, I did mess up the video. Holy guacamole, that's where I wanted it to be this whole time. Are you kidding me? Okay, so now you can actually see. Wow, I should have done that from the beginning. Man, think of all the detail you guys missed out on. I am sorry. Let's go back to one of these guys who has a lot more detail. Detail everywhere. Oh, wow. See, I should have done that from the start. Shame. Shame, shame, shame. Now I can show you what this helmet looked like when I was trying to show you all those different pieces. And then the blue and the flowers. The more you know, you know. I will definitely change this setting up when I do part 2. All right, this dude, and so this is the third one, so I had those 2, and then this one was my favorite because I really like the way that the white and blue pattern came out on his armor. I kind of did the battle damage technique to get that blue in there, and this one's really cool. His helmet is a little bent, but I think it's all intact. Yeah, this one's pretty good. He kind of looks like that, what's his name? That UFC fighter. I can't remember his name. That really cool dude. He doesn't care about what people say. He's real. So he does have both swords. This is the shorter sword. I do have the other one. Let me grab that. But this is his sword. And when I say better swords, well, actually, I lied. This one's not one of the better swords. The better ones, when I say better, I mean, like I think I used like Kathu tin. I know it sounds weird, but it's like really thick tin, or metal. When I use it, it's not going to bend or break. And one time I sharpened one of the swords, and I dropped it out of my hand like from this height. Oops, and it dagged into my work table. So yeah, there's just the ones that I don't have to worry about breaking because it's a lot stronger. Here's this guy's pike, super awesome, and I got all those little dots on there. I say dots, like those little metal pieces. There's a lot of pieces to this. So 1, 2, 3, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's at least 19 pieces. And then the fabric, if you want to count both of those. So 20 pieces, 22 pieces, 21 pieces. There's a lot of pieces. Mini pieces. Really cool pike for that dude. We got this dude. This is a British Dragoon, I believe. Or no, Scottish. No, this was a Scottish loyalist. That's what it was. That's why his hat's all like that. I don't know why I talked in a British accent, but he's got a claymore. I actually have one of these in real life. I might have to show you guys in my next video because I don't want to go find it. But this guy's really cool, and I put a lot of detail in this. Like you can see his buttons on his shirt underneath there, and then on the side you got little buttons and buttons on his wrist. He's got buttons everywhere. The man's got buttons. Now I will admit this one, like not having fabric on the side, hindsight looking at it now, it does look good when it's not that bulky. So I might actually continue to do that technique. Depends on what it is. So we have one of those. This dude isn't finished yet. Actually, I'll show you the one that is finished. This was one of the early figures. All right, this dude doesn't have a sword with him, unfortunately, but he had a really cool sword. This is the American, and this took forever. But he also has like the buttons on his shirt. He's got multiple layers on his shirt, and then these little cufflinks bend back. I didn't put actual buttons on that because that would have probably snapped off. And then like this whole setup, it just took forever to make. And then he's got a really cool hat or helmet. I don't know what you would classify it, but this thing is, I think it's all fabric. There might be a few pieces of metal on there, like on the sides, just to kind of give it some stability. Really cool figure. And he, like I said, he used to have a hat, but he don't, or not hat, a sword. He's got his boots on. This one's cool. He actually has a gun, and this thing's pretty detailed. So this is all, again, obviously everything's handmade, but you know, trying to put this together, like this here colonial rifle was not an easy task. And he's got a little flintlock right there. He actually has a flintlock pistol somewhere. This next dude is going to fall into the unfinished category because he's unfinished. He doesn't have a head, and he doesn't have a lot of details on his headpiece. This was supposed to be a British Grenada, and it's coming out pretty darn good. I just never finished it. I don't know why. I definitely want to get into it. Now, if you're wondering why this looks like I made it yesterday, it's because I kept it in a little zippy bag. So I'm gonna try to do that moving forward if they're just gonna be sitting. I want to make a display shelf, but until then, I'm just gonna pop them in. I'm just gonna, you know what? Everyone just back up. You're crowding me. I'm feeling claustrophobic. So I'm just gonna put them in these little baggies. So this guy is a work in progress, and he will get done eventually, but you know, obviously he's got the same level of detail as the other ones. It's just, he didn't get done. So he's gonna go back in here so no dust and stuff can get to him, because you know, if I kept all these that way in some kind of bag and kept them out of the elements for this many years, you know, they all would be looking pretty spiffy, but they don't. Also, I almost forgot that this Shinsengumi was the second one, or the first one, I don't remember. But I did make another one, and he also is protected in a zippy bag. So we're gonna go ahead and pop him out. Yeah, this was the, I don't know if this was the first one. No, this has to be the second one, because there's no way I would have made the second one look as bad as it does if this was the first one. So I remade it, so I was like, you know, this is pretty cool. And then I was like, I can do better. So I did do better. So he's got the armor. He's got more detail in his kimono with the wrap, and then you know his whole arm actually has armor on it. You just can't see it because I put this on there. And then you see his chest plate. He's got the metal plates on that. And then his two swords. This one does come out, I think. Actually, no, this one doesn't come out. This one is just for show. I'm pretty sure I just glued that back there, like it came through his kimono. This one was just a showpiece. Obviously, I'm not gonna run around playing with these, so they're all models anyway. And then he's got, I don't know what this is called, but anyway, that's what it should have been like. Yeah, that's cool. And this guy, it's like, oh gosh. I was ready to say, this guy looks minty fresh, and then I just smack his face into the ground. This one is definitely going back into its bag, because this figure, that's an old figure. That's a classic, that's a vintage Noble Artist. This is probably, no exaggeration, this has got to be 10 years old, and it still looks like I made it yesterday. Oh, because the power of a Ziploc bag. Yay. All right, so this is my King Leonidas minifigure, and he's got a lot of bells and whistles. You can tell he's definitely missing a lot of pieces. Like one of these shin guards is missing. I don't think he had boots at one point. He's barefoot, and you know, there's a piece missing there. So all this metal is like the other stuff. It was a darker metal. All those little white dots, or the silver dots, are me going to the back of it and poking it with an X-Acto knife. So I used the actual metal color to texture all this and put these details in by poking it and putting all that stuff on there. And that's kind of the theme throughout the shield. I don't know why I decided to outline his cape with that. And then his back armor has it on there. His helmet, I think this is like paintbrush bristles that I cut. Massive, probably way too big. But I think it's impressive. If I saw that running at me, I probably would surrender or run away. I'm not gonna lie. He's also missing one of his cheek plates right there. This was a really cool helmet when it was in its prime. And then he had also like the 2 wings here on top of his helmet. And then there were a little poof of that stuff coming out of it. I don't know how in the world that all came out. Here's his helmet for what's left of it. And then his face. He had a really cool sword. If I can find that, I would love to. He had the coolest sword. I think this is actually metal, and that's why it's like bending like that. I normally would do that out of fabric, but it's not. I think that, yeah, it's metal. And then I got some detail on the inside of his shield. Just kind of a simple shield design. You can see that big old slab of metal that I cut out. And then, yeah, I mean, other than that poking up, his cape does come off. It just holds in there by those 2 like straps on his shoulder. And then very bearded man. But yep, that's I almost said a Viking. Wow, my brain's fried. That's my Greek. I love my Greek. I'm gonna make more Greeks because they're awesome. And I'm probably gonna make a lot more of these historical figures. That should sum up all of my figures. I didn't think it'll take this long. I'm definitely gonna be doing a little editing on this video. He had a spear, I forgot his spear. Which is like his phalanx, I guess. So anyway, I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do on this video. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. I will make a part 2 showing you all of my Star Wars figures, which aren't that many. Well, I mean, I'd say not that many. There are way more in this category than there are with my Star Wars figures. So just a little recap. I know it's kind of a big mess, but coming up is gonna be all of these guys in here. That's what I was trying to say before, like when the boots were falling apart, it kind of leaves that dust in there. And then these weapons, I don't know who those belong to. I might have to figure that out later. But all the rest of these figures are going to be in part 2. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you guys like this video, don't forget to hitchhike it if you like it. And if you have any suggestions for future figures, it doesn't have to be Star Wars, because as you can see, I have more non-Star Wars figures here than I do Star Wars figures. And I actually started out with these. My first figure ever made was a samurai. So if you have any suggestions for that kind of stuff, please let me know. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and it just encourages me to keep doing this. So thank you again so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Have a great Friday, and I'll see you next time.